what we did, Andrews, right, we're customer obsessed, customer focused. We made sure we pulled orders up to make sure that our retailers had beer to serve their customers over the weekend and through Monday, Tuesday, whenever we were able to get back up and running. Now, what that means is we're pulling all these orders up, we're selling all this beer, we don't have any inbound loads. So you can imagine how stressful that is in supply chain. And me being a supply chain manager, taking the brunt of that, right? So I think about my commute this morning. Before I even got into the office, I had 7 different phone calls, right? So that's just how my day started off. And feeling sorry for myself. And I got this 7 a.m. Big meeting in Dallas at the headquarters in the morning. And how am I going to keep pushing and get through this presentation and add value? But flip side of that, I'm really excited to be in front of this group because I'm looking out in the room and there's a lot of future supply chain leaders here. So, me being a supply chain manager and getting to impart some of the things that I've learned in my short time, I think about, so I know Dr. Salzer, you mentioned that the previous speaker who I was supposed to be following up behind, fortunately, I don't have to follow up behind him because he's a 25-year veteran. I believe he was a senior vice president and been in the beer industry or whichever. I think he's in the food industry longer than I've been alive, right? So I'm 31. He's been doing it 30 years, right? So I kind of get my opportunity to kind of make my mark. And I will imagine, I know there's probably some really talented, bright future leaders, but you'll probably be a manager before you're a senior vice president. So maybe these are some of the things that I'll talk about today are some nuggets that you can take with you really soon in your career, and versus what we're looking at down the road, 20, 30 years when you become that senior vice president, right? All right. Now that I've said that, a little bit about me. You can see the star of the show. My wife's not pictured here, but my dog Bronco, our dog, I'm a husband, dog dad, and supply chain manager. So, born and raised in Columbus, Mississippi. So, I've moved to Texas in 2018. You'll see some more about that when I talk about the career journey and everything like that. MUW graduate 2017, 5 years in supply chain. Got a few hobbies. I don't get to spend a lot of time with them, but I love to travel. My wife and I, we're celebrating 8 months, so not even a full year yet. We got married, and we got married in Italy. So we love to travel. That's one of our top priorities. We really prioritize that. Working out, try to when I can. Had a little bit of supply chain gut is what I call it, and I like to do some Legos from time to time. I'm really into the Technic kits. I got a Ford Bronco kit that I'm working on now. Started on it, and lo and behold, it is not. Sorry, get this because it's going to annoy me. It is not fully done yet. So piece by piece, we'll take it a day at a time. Get my clicker. I got a little trivia for you. Okay. All right. How many states have less population than the entire DFW Metroplex? Any guesses? 45. Pretty good. Anyone else? Go ahead. 60? A little high. What do you got? 20. Getting closer. Anybody else want to take a crack at it? 30, 38 on the money. I wish I should have brought prizes. 38 on the money. I didn't expect anybody to get it directly like that. Next slide, please. So 38 states have a smaller population than the entire DFW Metroplex. Next slide, please. Because I want to talk about the landmine that we're kind of sitting on. Now, this kind of, I mean, you look at this slide, it's busy, but look at the cities in comparison to some of the cities here in DFW. The one that really stood out to me was Pittsburgh, right? The size of Plano, Arlington, the size of Tampa, population wise, right? Dallas, the size of San Diego. So we're sitting kind of on a gold mine opportunity, no matter what industry you're in, whether it's beer, food, there's a lot of customers to serve. We're the third, fourth largest metroplex in the United States, right? So a lot of opportunity, a lot of supply chain opportunity as well, right? Because I mean, we're kind of in that corridor. We're pretty much central to the U.S. Everything goes through and up and around the DFW metroplex. Next slide, please. All right. So one of the things about Andrews Distributing is that it is a family-owned and operated business. So looking from your left, Mike McGuire, who's the president and CEO, and his two daughters, Sophie, Maddie, and his wife and co-managing partner, Natalie. Sophie and Maddie actually recently joined us at Andrews. So Sophie is the brand activation manager, and Maddie is the director of supply chain strategy. She's really talented. Both of them are, but I work really closely with Maddie. She takes over. She's heading up some of our beverage brands that I'll get into a little bit later about some of the new recent acquisitions that we had. Really sharp, really excited, really proud to be working for a family-owned and operated business. Next slide, please. Now, looking at Andrews over the years, we started in the 1980s. We actually have our 50th year anniversary coming up on Friday. So we're really excited about that. We're going to have a huge party. Still got to work because I saw all these calendars, or my calendar starting to blow up with all these meetings. I'm thinking to myself, I thought we were celebrating the 50th anniversary. Why do I have all these meetings popping up on my calendar? That's besides the point. But you look at where we've grown from the 1980s to now, where we started with one brewer, two brands, 11 team members, to where we are today with 65 suppliers, brewers, distillers, which we want to call it, 1,300 brands, and nearly 2,000 team members. So a tremendous amount of growth over the 50 years, and we couldn't be more proud of that. Next slide, please. It's just our business at a glance. So we have five hometowns. In Allen, it was where I office out of. In South Texas, we have our Corpus Christi hometown. Dallas is the headquarters. We have Ennis, which was a recent acquisition as of 2023. That acquisition helped me get into my management position. It was an opportunity when you grow, opportunities. Joey Gregory, who we mentioned earlier, who graciously gave me the opportunity to stand in his spot to get in front of this great group. He became the vice president, and they needed a manager to take over to fill his spot, and that's where I got my opportunity. So really excited when the Ennis acquisition took place because it gave me my opportunity. And then Fort Worth was just one of our larger hometowns. It's the largest based on team members and volume. Altogether, like I said, 2,000 team members, nearly 45 million cases. I think we're going to hit, I don't have the final numbers yet. I think we're going to hit about 45 million for 2025. Next slide, please. Now, as of late last year, one of our recent acquisitions, which was formerly Southern Distributing in Laredo, Texas, became our sixth hometown. And we're really proud, I think, of the Laredo team members there, how they fit in so quickly. They always have a can-do attitude, ready to jump in, help, service the business, and do whatever we need to do for our customers. And they just fit in so well. So I love, love, love working with the Laredo team members in that hometown. And if you go to the next slide, we'll see how the Laredo plus the Corpus Christi, two hometowns, we have a North Division and a South Division now. Those two hometowns combined, the volume makes us the 14th largest distributor in the state of Texas, beverage distributor. 5.3 million cases getting pumped out of those two distribution centers. So really excited about that acquisition and creating this powerful South Texas division. Next slide, please. It's a funny slide. So now you see the name, the burpee route, you think about a burpee. So you start down, you go up, go across, come back and reset. That's kind of what you're looking at. If you get a little bit of imaginative and kind of go with it. But what we do, so now this isn't pictured, but there's a Laredo facility where this Heineken shipment comes from. And I'm excited about this because I was kind of brainstormed this and kind of got to see this get put into action in my prior role. So there's a Laredo facility where we pick up all of our Heineken USA product, our Mexican product, right? We pick that up, we stop it here. The final destination is Corpus Christi, right? But it's an expensive lane to try to operate in because it's a really long distance. You really actually cannot, you'd have to have a driver over, you're not going to make it in hours of service. So we had to get really creative. And that's one of the things we said, okay, with this Laredo acquisition, how can we do this better, cheaper, drive our service up and keep our costs down? So that driver brings it to Laredo, goes about his business, whatever he needs to do in Laredo. We have another driver who works with us or for us. He goes from Laredo to San Antonio, picks up our beverage because we just got into the beverage game. From there, he brings it back to Laredo. He picks up this Heineken shipment, takes it to Corpus Christi. Now, one of the things we did also to get our service levels up in Laredo was implement a cross-dock solution for Laredo. So a lot of the product that Laredo sells is actually housed in Corpus Christi because it's a pretty large distribution center, at least compared to Laredo. So we crossed out back 200 SKUs and 125 Kanban SKUs every night, going back and forth, right? So I thought this was really a really cool slide. I love the visual, and it's just one of those. It's kind of the fun part of being in supply chain. Kind of come up with those strategic ideas to help, make the business better, right? So next slide, please. Now, one of the fun things that is probably trying to think of our most tenured team members. I don't think anybody at Andrews can really say that we kind of been through this event. We've been through some Super Bowls, but we've never had a World Cup. So this is a huge opportunity for us, and we're super excited. We've had the meetings started up since late Q3, I believe, because we knew it was coming and we knew we needed to get ready for it because this is the equivalent of nine Super Bowls all at once. You think about the period of the World Cup. So I'm going to read every single box on this slide because it's so fascinating to me. Starting to the left or from the left, the number one global event ranking in awareness, appeal, and excitement. 3.8 million DFW visitors or 100,000 per day through this time frame. 1.5 to 2.1 billion dollars expected in economic impact. How can Andrews capture some of that? 6 billion fans, the world's single biggest event and most popular sport. Goes without saying, nine matches in DFW, non Super Bowls, 1 in 4 World Cup viewers plan to watch in the bars, a lot of on-premise counts getting service, and I'll show you how we're going to kind of try to attack that, at least what I can share at this point. 70% of beers consumed will be premium where Andrew's brands shine. So super excited for this opportunity. I mean, like I said, non-Super Bowls here. We've got 32 teams or 48 teams competing, 12 groups in the end stage, 32 teams advancing to the knockout round, 104 of the matches throughout the tournament. I mean, this is a huge deal. So a huge opportunity for Andrews. We got to go in and execute. Next slide, please. This is where it's a busy slide, but you see starting at the left in Denton, we got our UNT base camp we're going to have set up. So we're going to have we're going to be able to service the all of the really the major hotspot areas, and we identified Denton and UNT as a hotspot area for the World Cup. So we're going to make sure we're servicing that. Doing the same thing over around McKinney in the Legacy West area. We're going to set up a Toyota base camp. Doing the same thing here in Dallas, DBU, Mansfield, the stockyards. A lot of the action is going to really happen here around where the World Cup's actually taking place. So, I mean, this is all I could share right now at this point because there's a ton of interesting slots going on. But we're calling these entertainment zones, and we're going to focus on hitting those areas hard, making sure that all the customers are serviced. We have beer constantly, right, going in and out. So, next slide, please. All right. So, pivoting a little bit about all the exciting things. One of the things that Andrews does a really good job of, I believe, is defining our purpose, right? And our purpose is we elevate life's moments by creating great beer and spirits experiences as we show up every day working towards that common goal. Our destination is to be known as the most customer obsessed brand building team that sets the standard for the beer and spirits industry. I'll go back to the slide where I showed the burpee route. It's one of those things that we utilize to become customer obsessed. How can we do this? How can we service our customers better? Our fill rate shot up in Laredo, right? Because Laredo didn't have that transportation expertise until we kind of partnered together to work on those things. Fill rate shot up. We get feedback from the HEB store managers that say, never, 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 never gotten 100% of my order, right? Right. They were hovering around the 80s, 90s. No, not the Southern. They just didn't have the logistics, technology, expertise that Andrews brought to the table. And that's what we go for every day. I had to read our core values. I know there's a lot on the slide. I'll just go over the titles because all of these things feed into our purpose and our destination. We show care, trust, integrity, excellence, collaboration, innovation, agility, and last but not least, optimism. So really love this slide because I have to revisit it every now and then when things get hard because things do get hard. I mean, that's just part of work, right? In your professional life. Next slide, please. All right, so we are all under construction. I'm getting into kind of the now that I've talked about Andrews as an organization, and now I want to pivot into talking about what can help you in your career and some of the framework that I've used and that I've been so successful with. with finding mentors and modeling after leaders that came before me or that still work at Andrews, but that I work side by side with, right? But we are all under construction and on our own journey of excellence. We all have different paths. I'll show you the paths in the next slide for me personally. And we all have different places that we are trying to get to and different routes that we have to take to get to that. But I want to be clear that excellence is never an accident, always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. I truly believe that. Next slide, please. Because if you look at my professional journey, I didn't always get it right. I had to make a lot of different moves. And you think about my 7 years at Andrews, I've been in, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six different roles. So I had to really try to navigate to get to where I wanted to get. But I always knew I wanted to be in supply chain. Always knew I wanted to be a supply chain manager. And I had to figure out how I was going to make that happen because I didn't. So I went to MUW for my undergraduate. I actually majored in kinesiology because I thought at some point that I wanted. Oh, there we go. But I thought that I wanted to be a physical therapist and didn't. Maybe it's loose. Okay. Sorry about that. So it went out again. All right, there we go. So I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist, and you get down to the nitty gritty, and they're telling you, oh, well, 8 more years and $100,000, $200,000. And I was like, okay, I got to find something else. So I went and I just had to get a job at that point, still in Columbus, Mississippi, where I was born and raised, delivering pizza for Papa John. And I'll be transparent, I'll be a little vulnerable here. I thought that was it. I didn't know what I was going to do, what path I was going to take, how I was going to get where I needed to go or where I wanted to go. Because I remember those nights. I was thinking that every delivery, man, I got to change something. I don't know what I need to do, but I got to do something new, right? So I got this brilliant idea to when you talk about the DFW Metroplex, just reading online and how large it is and how much opportunity. When you think of supply chain, you kind of want to be central to everything, right? DFW was that. So called up a cousin that was already in Dallas, and I thank her all the time that she let me crash on her couch because she didn't know that maybe that I would end up on her couch long term or I'd get out of her place and get up on my own. So I packed up everything, moved to Allen, Texas, and at that point, I just needed a job. So again, here I am as an order selector in 2018 and picking. I did that for a year, every night picking. I was a fast picker, I will say. I had a little bit. I was a little bit of an athlete. So I picked really fast. I did really well. Showed up, did the things I was supposed to do, and I got the opportunity when a new position was created, and it's called the POS operations specialist. So really what that is, so for all of our retailers, we have marketing material, right? Well, the marketing material has to get out there somehow. Our salesmen have to be able to have access to it where they're ordering it and then taking it out to a retailer account. So you need somebody to manage that. I took that opportunity because it had the word operations in it, and that's just that much closer to supply chain. Didn't really know anything about it, but I knew if I could get the job, okay, I get the job, I do that, and I figure out the next step. Now, I will say our order selectors are very valuable to us. They're really well paid. I had to take a pay cut. And then I'm looking at myself, I was like, okay, am I sure this is the right path? Because I got bills to pay, right? So what do I do? Well, I get a weekend job. So now I'm working 7 days a week, tired, and still trying to figure out, is this the right thing that I should be doing right now? Because it's got really challenging. And I didn't really see, at the time, I knew I was doing something right by, keeping myself busy, bringing enough income to cover my bills. But what was next for me? Then in 2020, the logistics specialist role came up. Again, not supply chain, but it's that much closer to supply chain from where I started, right? So, Joey Gregory earlier was my boss at the time. And so I was in the freight business. I'm sorry. I know y'all are hearing that static. I was like, dude, can you fix? All right. Okay, maybe it'll stop. So anyway, so Joey Greger, he was my boss at the time, and he really took me under his wings in that role. Honestly, he was from a high level, and I was, and I, Testing. All right, good to go. Sorry about that. So, anyway, so he took me under his wing, and I really learned a ton in that role. So, just getting a little bit closer to my goals. And what I did is, hey, Joey, hey, I think I'm getting this logistics specialist thing down. What do you have for me? What can I help you with? What can I do for you to make your day easier? And he said, well, we got these new suppliers that we're onboarding, and right now I currently don't have the manpower to hire any. Or it's not enough where we need to hire somebody, but I need somebody to do it. I can't be doing it. I'm the director of supply chain. I think he was the director of supply chain at the time. And so I was like, okay, give them to me. I don't have any purchasing experience, but I knew in the back of my head that's where I wanted to get to. So I asked him for that. He gave me a couple, knocked it out of the park. Next thing you know, I have 10 suppliers and I'm running the freight business from my position. I wasn't managing the freight business at the time, but I was running the admin, running the schedules, making sure everybody was where they need in order for us to be successful. And from there, it didn't take long until I got promoted to the supply chain analyst role in 2021. So really a continuation of what I'd already been doing. I had the 10 suppliers. I took on a few more. I was still running the freight. I got a title bump and a little bit extra pay, which was great. And, you know, getting closer and closer to what I actually came for. I was like, okay, yes, supply chain analyst, right? Great. I'm just not quite at the manager role, but I'm a supply chain analyst. I'm doing what I wanted to do. Then comes 2023. Now, I know I mentioned earlier about the acquisition in Ennis, where they gave me an opportunity to get into management, but it wasn't quite the management that I was really wanting to get into. It was going back to logistics, and I was thinking to myself, not really what I want to do, not really my interest, but I was told you need management experience before. Fair enough. If I need experience before, I can be a supply chain manager because there's a little bit difference between this role as a logistics manager and the supply chain manager role. So the logistics manager role, I had 15 direct reports, but they were frontline employees, they were drivers, right? So it's a little bit different than a supply chain manager having, six or seven individual contributors, right? Professionals, a little bit different. And so I was told I needed to get that experience under my belt before the opportunity is given to me. Great. Really hard 3 years, let me tell you. First management role and big operation, a little bit about that freight business. So we delivered about 10,000 shipments annually, generating revenue, but it's a lot of moving parts to get. You think of logistics as A and B, but there's a lot of things that can happen in between that, right? Um, Breakdowns, equipment issues, driver retention, all of those things. But it was a really challenging role for me. And it was you know, trying to push myself. Uh, Starting to crackle again. So now I will say I made it through 2026 into a supply chain manager role. You want 'Cause I know it's going to keep doing that. Every time I move, it does that. I'll just stand like this and just stand like this the rest of that. So, but either way, so now not much to share because it just started. I'm in my first 30 days, as I was talking about earlier. I'm tired. I'm learning a new role. We're really busy. It's Q1. We have supply chain disruptions, so we're working around the clock. I got a 7 a.m. morning meeting in the morning at the headquarters that I got to be active and participate in. Not much to share so far. I'm learning a ton. It's completely new. It's actually an opportunity for me to manage some of our newer product lines, if you will. So spirits and LRBs, which we call liquid refreshment beverages, is really just water, soda, like your Big Reds, things like that. So I'm responsible for the supply chain there. And I have two planners that report to me. So it's been going great so far. So that is my professional journey along. And you're always be on the right path on your way back. Everything will work itself out. But it goes back to those. Can you go to an accident? It's a result of high intention. I had intention when I talked about the POS operations specialist role. It wasn't supply chain, but it had operations in it. So it got me that much closer to supply chain. That was intention. leadership transformation. Doing with excellence was one of the things that we really focus. I have another slide on where I'm going to talk more about excellence. Doing everything, mind. Self-development,